What's going on, guys? My name's Theoatrix, and today I'm bringing a complete client review of the RuneLoader client. So I recently made a video comparing OS Buddy and Conduit, but I left out RuneLoader, and RuneLoader is another very well-known old-school RuneScape client, which a lot of people use. And by the way, this isn't a promotional video, I'm just going to go through it and check it out. There's actually no approved third-party clients for old-school RuneScape by Jagex, and the reason for that is because Jagex cannot be held responsible if there's a data leak or a hack regarding an approved client. RuneLoader is a client with a great reputation, and it is trusted and safe to use, but of course, all third-party clients are used at your own risk, so I cannot fully guarantee that it's going to be all sweet. But anyway, RuneLoader is a completely free client, and it is supported mainly on Windows. However, there is a Java version of the client which should work on Mac, but I'm not sure how compatible it is because I don't exactly have a Mac. Now, the biggest person that I know that uses the RuneLoader client is Boaty, and he actually says that it is a lot smoother and it's a bit less demanding on your computer, and I do think that is true after using it for a couple of days. By default, the plugin panel starts on the left, but you can really easily change it to the right hand side. I had it on the left for a bit, but it felt a bit weird since I was so used to it being on the right, so I moved it to the right hand side. RuneLoader does have a world map, as all of the other clients do, by right-clicking the world map, and it isn't a very good world map. You can't zoom in on it, you can't really do anything with it, and it doesn't really have any of the dungeons or anything like that, so it's not the greatest. You should probably just stick to the RuneScape world map. Now, RuneLoader has a low CPU mode, and as most of you know, OS Buddy does use a lot of CPU, so turning this on may be handy for your computer, but I'm leaving it off because it doesn't really stress much. I'm gonna start off going through the side panels. Up the top here, we have a notepad, as most of the clients do. That comes in pretty handy sometimes. And then we have the high scores. And this high scores layout, I much prefer it. It's a lot bigger and a lot cleaner to look at. And down here, of course, you can change which high score you want to look at. There's a Twitter feed here, and there's an authentication button there, and then you have to put in a PIN just to confirm your account. I'm just going to really quickly log in and we can test it out. Basically, all it has is a Twitter timeline of the people that you follow. It's kind of useful, I guess, if you're really into Twitter, but personally, I don't check Twitter that much, so it's not really going to come in handy for me. Now, here is the world switcher, and the thing I love about this world switcher is it has the ping for each world showing up. As you can see, the Aussie worlds have less ping than these worlds, and you can also right-click a world, and it sets it as default on the login screen. Here we have an XP tracker, and it shows XP for every single skill and how much is remaining, and you can also right-click it to reset the tracker, and then it resets the XP gained and gives you a better XP per hour. Over here, there is a permanent bank value, and if you go into your bank, it will show each item ranked from most expensive to least expensive. Now, as you can see here, there is gold, silver, and bronze for the top 3 items, and then it goes down in value as you go down. The next one on the list is Grand Exchange Offers, and the thing I love about this is you can search for an item. It tells you how much it went up or down in the last day, which is pretty useful for some merchants. And on top of that, it tells you the OS Buddy price, which Conduit doesn't do because it's not linked to OS Buddy, but this one tells you the traded price and then the Grand Exchange price. Now, of course, this one also has screen markers. You can add them. So you hold Alt to move them around, and you can also resize them. And then the last one here says drag and drop customization files here to import them. And this, I will get into it in a second. It's actually really, really cool. Now, sadly, with all of these icons here, there is no skill calculators, which was one that I very much used in Conduit and OS Buddy. The ones that would determine how much of each thing you'd need to do to get to a certain level. I'm sure you can just go online to find out all of the things that you'd find on a calculator on here, but still, it was kind of cool to have it there. One thing before I get into all of the settings, if you press print screen, it actually takes a screenshot of your screen and it instantly uploads it to Imgur. A little notification comes up in the bottom right. You can't fully see it here, but if you just click on it, it will open it up on Imgur and you can share it with your friends. Now, in the attack styles, you can see that it says block clicking of defensive attack styles. It still shows the defensive one, but if you click on it, it doesn't do anything. Here we have the bank helper, and it basically just has the bank value on the right, and it tells you the bank value at the top of the bank. Of course, you can also tag items by right-click and tagging it, which is handy for things like Slayer. You tag it with Slayer and you can find all of your Slayer items. And then you can also turn off the deposit inventory and the deposit equipment button, which sometimes I misclick. I do use them quite a lot, so I'm not going to turn that one off. We have the regular barrows overlay, which most clients do. Then we have the cannon helper, and this is one that I really like about RuneLoader. It gives you a notification when your cannonballs run out, and it also plays a sound when you have a certain amount of cannonballs left. There's a little notification that comes up in the bottom right of your screen. Now there is the clan helper settings, and the clan helper is basically just a way to work out where the users of your clan are. If you see a clan user on your map, it comes up with their name, and also it comes up in game. And then over here, it also has the clan rankings. So if we find a rank, there is a gold star just there. And when you right click a clan member, the color of their name comes up purple, which I think happens on OS Buddy as well. Now, something that Conduit doesn't have is the clue scroll helper. The OS Buddy clue scroll helper is a little bit more sophisticated than this, but if you see, I click on a hard clue, it tells me who to talk to and the location of where they are. Now, this one is really interesting. If you go here, cosmetic overrides, you can actually change the models of items in game. And I tried out all of these, and the old fire cape looks like this. I'll put it on the screen. I'd personally prefer the latest one, even though I don't have a fire max cape. Now this one, the old elite void models, I was expecting it to be the really old void that had black and gold on it, but the actual void model that it uses is just the one before the blackish one. It goes to the more turquoise colored one. And then this one's awesome. The Tokar Cal models for the Inferno cape. I found someone with an Inferno cape, and it has the sprite of the RS2 Fight Kiln cape, which is awesome. Now here we have the friend finder, and this is very similar on all clients. Once again, if you add someone, I'll just add this guy real quick. Their name comes up on the mini map, and also their name comes up over here. Now here we have general information, and there is the frame per second thing up here, and you can turn that off very easily. And this one, low CPU mode when client isn't in focus. So if you turn that on, and let's say you click on something else, the client automatically goes into low CPU mode while you're not using it. You can see the frame rate here is a lot lower. If I click back on it, it goes straight back up to 43. And there's a few other awesome things like remove the sound of magic trees. If you go next to a magic tree, it has some really annoying sounds, so you can turn that off. And then here it says change the sprites for unenchanted jewelry. You can see the emerald ring looks a lot different to what it used to. And you can see that that emerald ring looks a lot different to the ring of jeweling. Now, one thing that you can't change on this one is the orb that comes up here, and that's the special attack orb. In Conduit, you can change it to a range of things, and you can also do that in OS Buddy. Now, the Grand Exchange helper here, when you examine a certain item, it shows you the Grand Exchange price as you do it, so that's pretty awesome. Now, the ground items, and by default, the Alt is toggling the overlay, so if I drop something on the ground, if I press Alt, you can see it coming up and turning it off. I prefer that by a lot rather than having it on all the time because it seems to clutter the game a little bit. And you can also get it to highlight certain items. So if I put in stew, then I go over here, it will make it green. You can also have it show the GE prices and the alchemy prices, which is very cool. I personally just keep the alchemy prices on for my Iron Man. And the Impling Finder, as usual, it comes up on the mini-map there. It tells you where the imps are, and it also has the icon next to them, which imp it is. And you can hide whichever ones you want. And we also have the level indicator, and you have to turn these on. They are off by default. But as you can see here, I just drank a jug of wine, and it tells me the attack level that I currently have, and it tells you the next tick that it will change. This one is something that a lot of the clients don't actually have. It gives you a notification on Windows in the bottom right of your screen for certain things. So when your ring of dueling breaks, it notifies you. If you get a PM, if you get a duel request, a trade request, and when your cannon runs out of cannonballs, which is an OS Buddy Pro feature, I believe. So this one's great since it's a free client. Now, mouse over text, if I turn that on and I hover over something, it comes up there, steal from Spy Stall, talk to Spy Seller. I personally like having that on. I just had it off because it was the default. And it also has show food information. If you hover over food, it tells you how much it heals, and it tells you the rune pouch content. Now, this is one that I personally would like to turn off, but I'll leave it on just to show you guys. If I right click an NPC, it comes up with a tag option. You can see that the NPC has lines around it, and that is the hitbox. So I can click anywhere within this to attack the monster. And you can do that for anything. You go to the banker, and you can tag them as well. I'm turning that off just because I barely use it. This is another one that lots of the other clients don't really have embedded, and this is the Nightmare Zone helper, and this gives you notifications when certain things happen. Usually it's a text notification which comes up in the chat, but here it says get sound notification when your overload wears off. So that's awesome if you're AFKing Nightmare Zone. Now here we have the player-owned house overlays. By default, it's on, which I prefer, and it's as on the map, it tells you where each thing is. So we have the spellbook swapping over there, we have all of the teleports, and that is very handy. Now this is the one that is the modifying thing over here, the prayer book customization. If you go here and you can open up the customization tool, you can rearrange the certain prayers and then export the file and import it into RuneLoader. So if I want to rearrange, let's just completely fuck it up. Alright, so if I click here to export, it downloads a file. Then if I go back to RuneLoader and I drag in that file, it imports it. You can see that they've all moved around and they work as they normally would, except that they're in different places. Now we also have a prayer notifier, and this one's also very handy for AFKing things like Slayer and certain things. And it has prayer beeps. So if I put this, let's just put it on 70. You guys probably won't be able to hear it, but I'll tell you what it sounds like. It just does that regular Windows sound, the beep sound, and then it has 2 beeps at a certain level and then 3 beeps at a certain level. So that one is super handy for AFKing. This is the rune crafting helper, and you can see that the rune crafting pouches have numbers over them for if they're full or not. Also going to show this draw a hitbox for an abyssal rift. I'm going to turn it on to nature. And you can see over there is the nature rift. So that one is super handy, so you know where you're going most of the time. But most of the time you'll remember anyway. Now the skilling helper is one that is another super good thing about RuneLoader. It tells you certain things about skills, but the main ones here is play a sound notification upon idling while skilling. So let's say you're cutting a tree or something, it'll play a beep sound when you stop cutting. So if you're AFKing, that's another great one. But one thing about these skilling overlays is there's not one for agility. You can see that there's no hitboxes anywhere. I'm still going to be using Conduit for agility because Conduit does show very nice hitboxes. So does OS Buddy in the settings. You can change it to the really nice ones. We also have a Slayer plugin, and that shows the counter of your Slayer monster. And here it says enable Slayer boosting mode. And basically what that does, if you're on a Slayer task, it remembers how many tasks you've done. And then on the 10th and the 50th and the 100th task, it will tell you to go speak to Duradel, which is the best Slayer points. Now the target information, basically what that does in the top left, it comes up with the hit points of the opponent. That's pretty much it for target information. Then we have timers and counters, and for certain jewelry, it will tell you the amount of charges left, and it will also tell you the timer for the next boss to be active. We have UI enhancements. And a cool one here is you can recolor the private messages, which a lot of clients don't really have. And along with that, it tells you how many friends you have, and also tells you how many people are in your clan chat. For some reason, I'm not in my clan chat. It tells you how many on your clan chat, how many people are on your ignore list. There is the world map options here, and you can't really change much. It says show your location. If I open up the RuneLoader map, you can see that it tells me where I am, but that's pretty much it for the map. There's not much else. And then we have the XP drops, and these are the ones that are coming down in the middle. You can see them popping up here, 37. You can change the color and the size of each thing, and it also has the orbs. But one thing that is really handy, it says disable plugins if OSRS XP drops are active. So if I turn on these XP drops here, it'll disable the XP drops from RuneLoader, which the other clients don't really have, and it's very, very handy. Now the final thing is the XP tracker. And you can turn off the XP trackers with 0 XP gained. If I go over here, there's the only ones that I've gained in. So that's a great one. And it says update CML tracker on logout. And CML is Crystal Math Labs. And this is where a lot of players track their progress on RuneScape. If you don't update it manually, it only updates when you go to your page and you click update. But this one, every time you log out, it will update it for you. So that is awesome. Now, so I've gone through all of the features of RuneLoader, and as you can see, it doesn't have as much customization as things like Conduit and OS Buddy have, but it is awesome because it's so smooth, and it does have pretty much all of the essential features that you need. So after having a good look at RuneLoader, it is a very smooth client which doesn't use much CPU on your computer. And personally, I think I'm going to start using it because I just feel that I'm not going to lag out or I'm not going to disconnect. And the interfaces aren't cluttered. Like if you're on Conduit, you'll see that there's shit everywhere, all over your screen. But with RuneLoader, there isn't really much going on. The main downsides of RuneLoader though, it doesn't have the agility hitboxes, and of course it doesn't have the XP calculators over here on the right hand side. But anyway, that's pretty much it for RuneLoader. I gave you guys a brief run through of what RuneLoader is about. But anyways guys, now it's time for clip of the day. Today's clip of the day is from Goose2, and he got the rune crafting pet on rune crafting level 2, which is insanely lucky. And he was crafting air runes at the time, and the drop rate at air runes is so rare. But anyways guys, thanks for watching today's video. If you want to submit a clip of the day, there is a link in the description below. It is so easy to submit. Thanks so much for watching today's video. If you enjoyed, be sure to leave a like and also subscribe if you're new. And as always, thank you so much for watching and have a nice day.